So, this game broke me. Let's find out why.
Let's say you sit down at a stranger's computer. You start opening up files and looking through stuff, and eventually you come to a folder that just says, My Work. So you open it, and you click on a random file, and it's a video game that looks like this. If you had to guess, what would you say you know about this person right now? Like, maybe they're kinda goofy. Okay, you close that, you scroll down a bit, and you open up a new file. It's another game. Do you think this person is happy? Are they unhappy? Now another one. What do you think is comfortable for this person? What puts them at ease? Do you think they're lonely? What's missing in their life? Keep going, open another file. Let's look at all of them. Let's unpack this person. Are they upset about something or fighting something? What do you think makes this person angry? What kinds of friends do they have? Do they even enjoy making video games at all? Take all of these images, hold them in your mind, and now try to imagine, without ever having met this person, who they are. Okay, let's do it. Let's find out if you're right.
The Beginner's Guide is a game you should be playing. Why, you ask? Well, let's take a look. The Beginner's Guide is an interactive narrative game from the makers of the Stanley Parable. It follows a strange, fourth-wall breaking story that's both trippy and emotional. Now, I'm going to do something a little different with this episode. For most of these videos, I start writing a script long before I'm actually done with the game. I do this because these videos are meant to be first impressions, and usually my opinion doesn't change much by the time I actually finish it. This game is strange in a lot of ways, and so this video is going to be a little strange as a result. I'm going to start by reading what I wrote about the game before I actually finished it, and then I'm going to talk about how I felt after the game was complete. I'll keep spoilers to the minimum in the first part, but this is the sort of game you need to play completely blind. Let me say right now that I think this game is worth your time. It's $9.99, and while that is a bit pricey for a relatively short walking simulator, I'm satisfied with my purchase. So if you want to go into this game blind, like I did, pause the video, play through the game, and come back so we can talk about it. So let's get started with my pre-completion analysis. So when I first booted up the game, I was confused, but in a good way. You're introduced to the narrator, who's also the lead developer of the game. The basic premise is that the narrator is showing us some strange little games a friend of his named Coda made and never released. Immediately you wonder whether or not the story is true, and that question permeates the entire experience. Are these games real? Is Coda a real person? How much of this really happened? Now, I went into this expecting a simple, narrative-based game. A walking simulator, as they call it. But all of a sudden, I'm given a crappy gun with no audio effects and I'm thrown into a bizarre spaceship. So yeah, this game had much more in store for me than I expected. Each level is a different game, and they're weird to say the least. They're shoddily made, perhaps intentionally, and design flaws and bugs placed in them lead to some bizarre outcomes. Again, I'm not sure how much of this is supposed to be real and how much is scripted for the sake of the game. I have a deep-seated phobia of technology behaving in ways it's not supposed to, and this game left me in this creepy but exciting limbo where I was trying to get inside the designer's head and figure out what was intentional and what wasn't. I guess that's the game's goal, to get you invested in something that ultimately may be meaningless, but is fascinating nonetheless. So yeah, as the game goes on, the levels become more abstract and experimental. There's one level, for example, where you can only walk backwards. This awakened a dormant fear in me that I didn't know existed. It defies video game logic and messes with my head. What's behind me? What's going to be in front of me when I turn around? Maybe this is just my weird technophobia getting the better of me, but levels like this really put me on edge. This game makes you feel like you're wandering through the broken programs of an insane designer. I found myself getting genuinely excited as I delved deeper into this strange, shattered reality. What started as a look at the unreleased games of a random person suddenly became much more than that. It's a look into someone's psyche, someone's outlook, someone's soul, as told by the video games he created for himself. In the end, I think this game is similar to the Stanley Parable. It's a video game about video games. But unlike the Stanley Parable, it's from the perspective of a strange, brilliant man whose mind is just as interesting as the point he's trying to make. As I got through the game, there was something very personal and intimate about it. I really began feeling for Coda, really relating to him through his games. It got to the point where I wished I could just speak to him in person, be his friend. I'm not gonna lie, as the game goes on, I started feeling a bit depressed. Maybe it's because I could really feel for both the narrator and Coda. You won't know what I mean by that until you play the game yourself, but I feel like I could relate to both of these characters. I'll just leave it at that. I love video games. I love what they can do. I love how they can make you feel and think and experience things in a way that no other medium can. To me, this game is a testament to the narrative power video games have. So the game lied to me. Yep, it lied to me. Put simply, and without spoiling too much in case anyone is watching this part of the video without already having played the game, it put me in the place of the narrator, made me see things from his perspective, and then made me feel awful about myself as a result. That's not a criticism of this game, not at all, just an observation. There's nothing dark or brooding about Coda as we were led to believe. He's not depressed, he's not lonely, he's just a private guy who makes games for himself, and we're the awkward guy who's trying to fix him. I honestly don't know what to say at this point. This game affected me on a very personal level, and I don't want to get too emotional at the risk of alienating you guys. I'll put it this way. I'm a very social person, very talkative, always wanting to understand everyone around me. As a psychology major, I kind of look for problems in people. I look for problems and I try to fix them. It comes with the job description. The idea of that backfiring on me, the thought of coming off as a nosy, pushy person who's doing more harm than good, kind of terrifies me. This game made me face that fear. Like the narrator, and I assume a lot of people, I get a sense of gratification out of helping others. It makes me feel like a good person to help someone in need, and in a way, I need that sort of validation to feel good about myself. Maybe that isn't a bad thing. Maybe it's good for society as a whole, but what does that say about you? As a person, as a single individual human being. To look for validation in others is normal, and I think it's healthy to some extent. But where does that leave us as individuals? I think that's what this game is asking. It's so strange to think of someone who can be content on their own, satisfied with themselves, by themselves, without any sense of obligation to share their thoughts and emotions and ideas with others. As someone who believes humans are inherently social beings, it makes me feel uncomfortable, wrong in some way. Like the narrator, I literally cannot conceive of a life without seeking the validation of others, at least on some level. We all like to think we don't care about what others think, that we're content with ourselves. But if that's true, then why do we talk to people? Why do we make friends? Why do we work together? Why do we share our thoughts with strangers over the internet? We can't function as a solitary unit. We all want to share and relate our experiences to others. We all seek the validation and approval of others. We want to be creative, to be necessary, to be significant. We all want to feel like we're doing the right thing. It's what makes society work. I guess Coda isn't like that. He's perfectly content sitting in his room and making games that no one else will get to see. Maybe that makes him less than all of us, but maybe it makes him something more as well, to be so content with his own individual self. I don't know, maybe I'm just rambling at this point, but this game took a lot out of me. I'm not sure if this was the average experience, or if the game just resonated with me in a special way, but the beginner's guide was an experience. Like I said, it's $10 on Steam, and if you want to experience a strange mind trip that may make you reevaluate your own self-worth, then I'd highly recommend it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.